Have you ever wondered why some women seem to predict your every move without even needing words? Today, you're going to discover the hidden secrets of female psychology, those that most men never notice, and that can completely change the way you understand relationships, power, and attraction. Now, imagine that behind every gesture, every silence, or smile, there is an emotional intelligence so powerful that it can manipulate the perception of even the most rational of men. So, what you'll see in this video is not just theory, but a real analysis of the female mind, revealing behavioral patterns, influence strategies, and emotional triggers. Discover why understanding these signals can transform the way you connect with the people around you and even protect yourself from subtle manipulations. Pay attention because each segment will lead you to insights you won't find anywhere else. Have you ever noticed how a woman's silence can be more impactful than words? Now understand, silence is not empty. It's a powerful psychological tool. So realize how it activates in men an instinct of curiosity, concern, and need for attention, making them reflect on their own actions. Discover why the simple act of not responding immediately or temporarily keeping your distance creates an almost irresistible dynamic of power and fascination. Some men interpret this as indifference, but female psychology shows that, in reality, it's a subtle control of the emotional narrative. Now, imagine if you could recognize these signs before they unconsciously influenced you. So, pay attention to micro-expressions, tone of voice, and behavioral patterns, because the female mind is constantly calibrating emotional responses, and understanding this is the first step to deciphering the hidden power we will discuss in the following parts. Women have the ability to read emotions in seconds, picking up on micro gestures, breaths, and even unexpressed thoughts. Now, this isn't magic. It's an evolutionary and psychological skill. So, when you think you're hiding something, there's a good chance she already knows more than you imagine. Discover why this keen perception is one of the foundations of attraction and emotional manipulation. Women can identify vulnerabilities, behavioral patterns, and hidden intentions in a matter of seconds. Now, think about how this ability affects relationships, negotiations, or even friendships. Then, you'll see that underestimating this capacity is a common mistake, and recognizing these signals can change the way you emotionally interact with any woman. A smile isn't just a gesture of kindness. Now, it can be a tool of persuasion and influence. So, each calculated smile can inspire trust, create emotional connection, and even open psychological doors that you don't even realize. Discover why female empathy is often strategic, detecting your fears, desires, and insecurities without needing to ask anything. Now, imagine how this works in daily social interactions, at work, or in intimate relationships. So, learning to interpret these nuances isn't just about observing, but understanding the emotional game behind every seemingly innocent gesture. Have you ever felt like someone seems to know exactly what to ask to make you talk too much? Now, understand, this is no coincidence. So, active listening in women is often accompanied by strategic questions that reveal information without you realizing it. Discover why women use these techniques not only to connect, but to assess intentions, character traits, and vulnerabilities. Now, you'll see examples of how the combination of silence, observation, and questioning creates an invisible network of emotional control. So the key here is to recognize patterns, not just react to them, and understand that feminine psychological power is built on almost imperceptible details. Now, notice how many women use emotional space to their advantage. It's not just about manipulating words or gestures, but about creating a psychological environment that favors their perception and reaction. By emotionally approaching or distancing themselves, they can test boundaries, evaluate priorities, and observe unconscious responses. Discover why this skill is essential. Controlling emotional space allows a woman to influence decisions, evoke feelings of urgency or desire, and even guide behaviors without direct confrontation. Now, imagine how this works in everyday situations, friendships, relationships, or even at work. You begin to realize that small adjustments in tone of voice, posture, or proximity can generate profound psychological impacts, showing the invisible power that often goes unnoticed. Have you ever felt confused after an interaction and didn't know exactly why you reacted in a certain way? Now, understand, this is often the result of subtle, not explicit, manipulation that activates emotional and cognitive triggers. Women can use strategic behaviors, glances, pauses, or gestures that influence thoughts and feelings without the other person consciously realizing it. Discover why conscious awareness is the only defense against these dynamics. Identifying patterns before reacting is essential to avoid being carried away by the emotional flow. Now, see that recognizing signs of manipulation is different from assuming that every action is strategic. It's about understanding the psychology behind complex interactions. You begin to notice that feminine power resides not only in what is said, but in what is not said, in the rhythm, and in the emotional cadence of each action. Now, consider the effect of self-esteem and self-awareness. Women who understand their own emotions, patterns, and internal triggers have a powerful advantage. They can choose how to react, when to influence, and what signals to send. Discovering why some women seem immune to male or psychological manipulation is no coincidence. It's the result of strategic emotional awareness. Discover why self-awareness increases psychological power. It allows for conscious decisions, control of emotional narratives, and the ability to influence without the need for direct confrontation. Now, when you understand this, you realize that every interaction carries layers of intentions, choices, and emotional control that previously went unnoticed. This is the key to understanding true feminine power in psychological dynamics. Have you ever noticed how some women exploit vulnerabilities without appearing manipulative? Now, understand that identifying weaknesses is not synonymous with malice, but with advanced emotional intelligence. So, when a vulnerability is perceived, it can be used to create connection, test trust, or provoke behavioral changes. Discover why this works. The human brain responds to emotional stimuli, and the correct perception of vulnerability allows you to influence decisions, create empathy, or even generate emotional dependence. Now, imagine how this technique works in relationships, friendships, and social interactions. It doesn't explicitly manipulate, but guides invisibly and effectively. Therefore, recognizing this pattern is essential to avoid being involuntarily led by emotional games. Now that you know the main secrets of feminine psychology, from silence to emotional control, From reading vulnerabilities to strategic influence, it's time to apply what you've learned. Remember, it's not about using this knowledge to manipulate, but to understand, protect yourself, and create more conscious interactions. Discover why psychological awareness transforms relationships. It allows you to interpret signals, recognize triggers, and navigate complex human dynamics with confidence and intelligence. Now, imagine integrating this understanding into daily life, at work, in love, in friendships. Then, every gesture, silence, or smile takes on meaning, allowing you to connect deeply without falling into unconscious manipulations. This is the true power of psychology: to understand without being dominated, to perceive without judging, and to evolve emotionally and intellectually